Raspberry Pis have become pretty much the de facto standard whenever someone asks for a recommendation for a PC that they can do some lightweight task on, like run a smart home or a home automation system, maybe run their own web server, start to code, teach their kids about computers. The Raspberry Pi is so versatile and it gets recommended all the time for good reason. But the problem is that for the last 3 years or so, it's been completely out of stock everywhere, and when you do actually manage to find one, the price is jacked up through the roof and they are so expensive. And that's led to people asking for recommendations for other hardware or things that they can actually get their hands on. And that is where this product comes in. I'm hoping is going to be another good recommendation. This is the Zimaboard by Ice Whale Tech. The Zimaboard is a single board computer similar to the Raspberry Pi, but does or should pack a lot more punch than a Raspberry Pi does, whilst also sipping power. So I've intentionally not had a look at any of the material for this because I'm actually really excited to check this out. I want to see how it looks. I've seen what it looks like and I actually really like the design of it. I think it looks really good. Now it's worth mentioning that this isn't a new product at all. It's actually been out for a little while, but I don't really see it recommended by many people inside of the smart home space. I've never really seen anyone else talking about it. The world's first hackable single board server. Hashtag single board server. Okay. Oh. Okay, that's a fancy box. I always get excited now when I look at packaging because I know how difficult packaging is, having just the smallest taste of it. So I always have a look at other people's packaging now. But, oh, it's actually feels like quite dense actually. Oh, a couple of stickers. And then also inside the box is a little SATA cable. So that'll become clear what that is for in just a second when we have a look at the board. So this is the Zimaboard. First thing I notice is it actually feels like dense. It's not heavy, certainly a lot more dense in the hand than I thought. This certainly feels like metal on the top. Hear that? I really love this gunmetal with the orange accent. Super cool. Reminds me of like a graphics card, especially because it has this slot at the bottom. So this board actually comes in a few different or 3 different configurations. You get the 216, you get a 2 cores, 2 gigabytes of RAM and 16 gigabytes of eMMC, and that comes in at $119, which is about 98 pounds. And then you get the middle one, which is the 432, which is a 4-core, 2 gigabytes of RAM variant, 32 gigabytes of eMMC for $159, which is about 130 pounds. And then finally, you get the one I have here, which is the 832, and again you get 4 cores, same CPU as is in the middle one, but this time you get 8 gigabytes of RAM and again 32 gigabytes of eMMC and $199, which is about 160 pounds. So that's the one I would probably recommend. Pay the extra $40, 30 pounds for the 8 gigabytes. I think that will be a lot more versatile because this has or can do so many different applications. Round at the back we have our I/O. So we have 2 gigabit Ethernet ports. That is particularly cool to see because the minimum amount of Ethernet ports you're going to want for a firewall type application like pfSense or OpenSense or OpenWRT, any of those projects, you're going to want at least 2 interfaces to use with a firewall. So really cool that this has 2 of them, which you don't often see. Under those you then have 2 USB 3.0 ports, mini DisplayPort 1.2, which is capable of 4K 60 Hz. And then on the other side we have our power supply. So that is the barrel jack connector, and that is supplied by the 12 volt 3 amp power supply like so. Round at the front we then have 2 SATA ports, which allows you to expand the storage with either 2 hard drives or 2 SSDs. So really could expand and add quite a lot of storage through those SATA ports. And that is where this cable at the front comes in. They supply 1 cable if you want to expand the storage. So that just plugs in like that and then into your hard drive. And then on the other side, we actually have a PCI Express 2.0 by 4 slot. Typically the things you would use for this is like to add expandable storage, so you can add even more storage through the PCI Express slot. They sell a card on their website which I think can take up to 4 M.2 SSDs, so you could add even more storage. I think they said up to like 32 terabytes or something like that through the SSDs. They also sell things like a 4-port 2.5 gig Ethernet card, so 4 2.5 gig Ethernets. Really compact, really cool to see, and yeah, feels super dense with that heatsink on top. Speaking of that heatsink, the processor inside of here is a 6-watt TDP part, really power efficient. Obviously that's just for the processor. There will be a little bit extra for the entire board, but I would expect this to be under 10 watts certainly. The heatsink on top means that this runs completely passively, completely silent as a Raspberry Pi. And yeah, I really love this footprint. It's super dense, feels really good in the hand. If we compare it next to a Raspberry Pi with the case on, you can see it's not that much bigger. Yeah, I really love this. This is cool. Wait, there's a peel on the back. We have to peel it. We have to do the peels. Can we take a look inside it? I feel like I want to open it up and just take a look at the PCB goodness. I'm excited to check this out because I'm always on the lookout for recommendations for people for a Home Assistant server or a home lab server that doesn't use a lot of power. And especially I love nerding out over firewall stuff. Firewalls is like my jam. So yeah, this one is really cool because of that 2 gigabit Ethernet ports. Always on the lookout for new firewalls. I don't know why, I just got a thing with firewalls. Yeah, so you can see that transparent sort of back cover. You can just see through it there. It's pretty cool. So on the back we have a battery for our RTC. Oh, this is so they've actually added a fan header. If you did want to add a fan, you could do it through that fan header. Yeah, and it just comes apart like that. Intel processor in the middle, so that is our 4-core CPU right here. And then up at the top, it looks like we have our memory chips. And then down here, we have our eMMC storage, it looks like. Yeah, that's our 32 gigabytes of eMMC storage. Good to see that the memory modules are actually got thermal paste on them, as well as some of the other chips, just to keep everything nice and cool. So I haven't even really talked about the OS that comes with the Zimaboard. So unlike most single board computers that just expect you to just flash your own OS onto it, like Debian or Raspbian or that type of thing, the Zimaboard actually comes pre-installed with a OS called CasaOS, which I believe is based on Debian, but it's kind of their own twist on it. And the idea is that it's kind of an easy way for anyone to really install apps that they want from Docker containers. So it's kind of like a giant app store for Docker containers from what I've seen. So it allows you to basically one-click install a bunch of different apps like Plex or Jellyfin or Unify or Nextcloud. Basically provides an app store that you can one-click install all of those apps and just be kind of up and running without having to need to know Docker and know commands and that type of thing. The other really cool thing is that it's open source, so it's all available on GitHub, and you don't even need to run it on the Zimaboard. You can just run that CasaOS on any hardware you want to, really, if you want to use it on a different machine. I'm just gonna guess that you plug this into power and then network, and then you should get some sort of web UI. Okay, so we're showing a IP address already in our firewall. That was actually really quick to boot up. So let's see if it is ready. It takes us right into the setup screen. So that was actually a really fast server to boot. It gives me kind of like a macOS type vibe with that mountain image in the background. This is the main dashboard, I guess, where you manage all of or everything about the Zimaboard really. So you can see we have our CPU and RAM usage, we have our storage, and then we have our network status and our app store. Interestingly, up here it says it found new drives, a Hitachi one and a Western Digital one of 500 gigs each, but I don't have either of those, unless that's just like some demo data. But settings, update. Oh, okay, wow, that was really fast. It was like 60 seconds. It's kind of cool that they've made the dashboard really simple to navigate and easy to use and not overwhelming with loads of different options. But you can kind of dig into the menus and into the back end if you want to get a bit more advanced, or you are a bit more advanced and you know what you're doing. At least for beginners and people who just want the apps to work and they don't care about typing in commands and downloading Docker and all of that sort of stuff. Pretty cool. But what I really want to check out is the App Store, because that's what we're all here for. If you click on that, yeah, it literally just looks like an app store. It's got all of the popular, most commonly used apps that we're all familiar with: Plex, Unify, Nextcloud, Jellyfin, AdGuard, Pi-hole, bunch of apps, so many apps. And Home Assistant's there, which we love to see. Let's try and install it. So hit on install, it's just going. That's super fast. Isn't it the worst when progress bars like go right up to the end and then it sits at the very end for like 20-30 seconds and you're like, what? Just give me the actual progress. Hey, and it's completed. That took like 30 seconds. Nice. And then Home Assistant's there. We didn't even have to do anything. We didn't have to answer any questions. We didn't have to know any commands. Just click install and it's done. Hey, and we're into the setup screen on Home Assistant. The only thing I would be concerned about is who manages that app store, and will it always have the latest version, because it looked like it was pulling from a different source other than like Home Assistant GitHub repo. So does someone else have to manage that and keep it up to date, or does it just happen automatically? I'm not sure. Nice, and we're in. That was like the fastest Home Assistant setup I've probably ever done. That was probably like, what, less than 2 minutes total to get the whole thing running and be on the Home Assistant dashboard, including the onboarding. What other apps is there? Yeah, we've got like Unify controller here. Oh, I see up in the top you can do like a custom install. So this looks like if you are more familiar with Docker images and Docker commands, you can install pretty much any Docker app you want to by using the custom install, and you can just fill in that information. And that's really cool for people who are more advanced and they don't want to be restricted or limited. This allows you to do it, so nice. And you can see actually how much power it's using down here. So 6.2 watts, I guess that's for the CPU and not the system as a whole, but I imagine it's like 7, 8, 9, less than 10 watts for the whole package, and certainly a lot more powerful than, say, a Raspberry Pi would be. Okay, so Unify controller is installed, and we're into the Unify setup basically. Let's check out files. Oh, so it just gives you like access to the entire OS file system, so you get straight into the root file system. So again, you're not being restricted. If you don't want to be, you can see all the files, you can do whatever you want to. It's not locked down. You're not told what you can and can't do with your files and your data. You just get access to everything. This is kind of addictive now, just like going through the app store and just picking apps at random. I don't even want them. It's just so easy to do. I just want to install them. It's just going. So yeah, so it's installing both apps at the same time. No problem. Our CPU is at 80% usage and it's like hovering at 38, 40 degrees. So cool. You can just feel the very slightest of heat through it, but other than that, it's completely silent and completely cool. Nice, so you can just manage them all from here. You can open, you can update them from here, just one-click updates. This is a super cool device, especially for the money, like $200 for this kind of power, this sort of form factor, completely silent, completely passively cooled, is a really good value proposition, I think. The CPU is a little bit on the old side now. I would like to see them update that with a new version. But yeah, other than that, this will run rings around a Raspberry Pi in terms of performance. Obviously it is a little bit more expensive, but yeah, really compelling package. So versatile, so many different things you can do with it. And I can't wait to try it out, especially in a firewall application. If you want to check out the Zimaboard for yourself, I will of course have it linked down in the description so you can check it out for yourself. Man, this is a really cool little device. I can think of so many different applications for this. Maybe like a Proxmox cluster. That would be really cool, just see how far we can push it doing that. So many different ideas. Yeah, check it out if you want to check it out. Bear in mind, this wasn't a full review, this was just a more casual unboxing and overview. And do let me know down in the comments if you liked this type of video, the bit more relaxed unboxing and overview and first impressions. I had fun doing this. It was a bit more chill, a bit more get to hang out with you guys and just kind of geek out over this type of thing. So let me know down in the comments if you did enjoy it. Make sure to hit that like button and get subscribed. And have a nice day, you know? I'll see you in the next one.